And welcome back, everybody. It's time for grand finals here at the Breakout Series event number 3. It all comes down to these two teams between Mafty, who's sitting in the winner's side of grand finals, and of course, Last Second, who we just saw win that last match. I'm EGP Wonder Chef, and I'm back on the desk with James Jamerson Lee for this grand finals. We had some fun casting with JJ today, but I'm glad to be back with you for this final match.
Yeah, and this final match, I mean, what we saw out of Last Second there looked absolutely fantastic. So many different members of Last Second coming in clutch, and we saw them. You know, there were moments in their initial match in the winners finals where they looked like they staggered Mafty, but still the composure of champions rings true, and they were able to hold on. Hopefully, though, we have a much closer race here in the best of 5 that we have for the grand finals.
Seeing that one particular round was huge to me. That one Flak Fort push when they were playing up in the winners finals, where they just dominated for the first, I don't even know, couple of minutes of the game. They got all the way to 3 ticks. That makes me feel like they could absolutely at least take a game or a few games at the very minimum up in this match. But we should have the picks and bans ready pretty soon because I'm excited to see this. It is, of course, going to be a 3 out of 5 match. It will be a few less banned maps than we're used to seeing. We are going to have our only 3 out of 5 match, of course, for the grand finals.
Yeah, so each side will be only afforded 1 ban as we have a 7 map pool. And taking a look at our first bans coming in, it's of course Mafty that's going to have the winner side advantage with that, and it's Quarry getting banned out by Mafty. So Last Second, what are they going to choose?
Looks like they're going to get rid of Colony Trading Post. Quarry's an interesting one to get banned from Mafty because they're usually pretty good at it, but I get the Barbados is just so strong in Last Second. And Underground Command Center is going to be the first pick by Mafty. That makes sense. I think that's classically been their strongest map.
Yeah, this is so interesting because it's 2 destruction maps getting banned out, and then we get a destruction map being picked up by Mafty, but this isn't one, like you said. That Barbados doesn't have the same kind of swing on Underground Command Center, but on Thermal Plant, you can definitely be brought out. We'll see, though, the scariness of Arrow's Zaku 2 range as we have the rest of the picks coming in.
Right, even though it does say banned, these are going to be the selected maps for the end of the set if it does get there. Mount R&D Lab seems to be a common decider throughout this entire tournament, but I feel like just looking at these maps that we are seeing picked from each team, it feels like we are seeing Mafty want to go to a little bit more wide open spaces. It seems like we're seeing Last Second try to get to a little bit more closed in spaces, and in the end it just comes down to Mountain R&D, which seems like it does make a lot of sense. Like we said, you know, the strength of the Barbados and just the whole team of Last Second seems to do quite well in that close-up space, but we'll see how well exactly it does end up going. As expected, of course, in grand finals we are going to see a good amount of variance in the map pools. We saw this, I'd say the best match, right, in winners finals be in a point capture mission, so we might see that be a strength again as well of the team of Last Second, but we're going to have to wait to see. Of course, we are going to start off our 3 out of 5 set here in grand finals in just a moment as we get into map number 1, but we're going to go to a short break as we get the players in and get the lobby started, so don't go anywhere. We're going to start grand finals right after this.
Destroy both target objectives.
Map
The
1 of
mission is
Grand
exactly-
Finals will be Underground Command Center as Mafty is going to be taking on Team Last Second. That is going to be Mafty on the left. We see the switch into Carl Sagan with that Gym Sniper, which I know you are very excited about.
There's a lot of things to be excited here for, right? Especially for Team Mafty. But Carl Sagan on that Gym Sniper is going to be great. I think the addition of Arrow as well. You know, he can play that RX-78. We have been seeing a lot of Sazabis in play, but I feel like once we do get on to that maybe B site, there's an option for him to actually swap off from that RX-78 and go for the Zaku 2 range. I feel like Zaku 2 range here on Underground Command Center is really good for the second half.
Yeah, you know I love Arrow's like cast of suits that they play. It's a really cool, flexible set of stuff that we don't get to see all the time, but I think are really strong suits like the Zaku. But here we go. Carl Sagan will be the sniper on one side. On the other side, they don't actually even have a sniper. Last Second seems like they're more content just holding the tight angles, but we'll see if any of these picks make a huge difference.
Yeah, Tazim's actually on the RX-78 himself, and so this is going to be a largely, you know, Sazabi-focused battle right now, and you can see why. You want to make sure that the sniper can't hide behind that big shield. Profi tries to get aggressive, and there it is, the first knock coming out from Carl Sagan.
Oh, just dashing in and getting down as well really instantly, and we're seeing a lot of the members of Last Second go down. They're getting pushed back. That was a huge flame grenade from Focus, and look at this chase. Focus, one of the only Ashmars that truly shoots as much as in the transformed form as in the base form. It's actually really impressive, a very difficult thing to control.
Oh man, the neutral fighting around your Sazabis. This is so huge. Last Second, not able to mount a defense here as the Mega Charge does go down on point A. And this is such a huge clutch position for them. They don't have any G maneuvers available because the push has been so largely one-sided, though Arrow is close towards that Super Napalm.
That can be huge on this point. You can throw it above or below or in the little corridors, and it is just actually unkillable, and you can control at least a good amount of time. You can guarantee that there's an explosion if you use it late enough, but Blue Jay, wow, getting melted just trying to peek. Both sides of the ramps are being peeked by Mafty, and they are just pincering this entire team of Last Second. Tizim is the only one up and finally goes down. That is going to be a full team wipe, and that is going to be a tough call to try and get this disarm. I think they might just back up and just try to get into that choke point. But look at this! Look how aggressive Mafty is being!
Oh, wow. They're catching them on the stagger. They're catching them on the forward spawns. That's 2 down. That should basically be a free fight for them as they do end up getting that Mega Charge off on the first half. They're going to chase after a little bit more. Mr. Big Large has to be careful. He is a little bit isolated by himself, but he is on that Ashmar. Should be able to back away. Exponent, though, forced to take that mini heal pack as he tries to retreat, but they are still on the hunt. You can see Carl Sagan is up top as well with all the space in the world to work with. He's going to go ahead and pop that G maneuver, giving them the wall hacks as they try to push forward. Blue Jay finally answers back, but that's only Casino falling.
Yeah, you can see this which is going to be a relay take for sure. And now the question is, which side do they go to? They have held so much momentum. Sees him going down so quickly. What a shot from Arrow.
Yeah, Arrow has been holding on to this G maneuver as well, and it basically performs exactly the same here in the second half as well. You can go ahead and cover both sides, as now we are seeing a little bit of a defense coming up from Last Second, and they're creating a way. No Mega Charge down as this fight has continued. Profi off on his own, unfortunately, as that's Sazabi. He's going to hold on to his G maneuver. Focus, though, we'll see if he can build up another one. Arrow actually pops down his Super Napalm, but it gets cleared out.
Ooh, yeah, that's unfortunate. That was going to be a really key spot, but great defense. Of course, great reactions from the defense here. Blue Jay and Expedient are going to be hunting down whoever that was that they were chasing over there. Another member of Team Last Second, but, or I'm sorry, the other way around. Mafty, there's so many people fighting in so many different areas here. It's actually kind of hard to see where they're going. We're going to see the other Super Napalm come down. Let's see, it doesn't quite get any kills, but of course that is going to just stop the disarm for quite a while at least. It's going to make them have to reposition.
Yeah, Mafty now only really working with the energy cable. Here comes the screaming, or excuse me, the Lancer out from Evictus. And now it seems like the defense with those 4 kills will be able to get this defuse, and it's going to be back to square one for Mafty here on the second half.
Yeah, this is the first time that we've seen actually a defensive hold from last second. This is something that they're going to really need to take advantage of. You can take an offensive reposition here and try to retake the relay, but it looks like they weren't quite far forward enough to do that. We're already going to see the split push. We got, I could at least think it was Casino and Carl Sagan maybe down below. Oh, that was a great hyper hammer.
Yeah, the hyper hammer, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange. Casino falling, but Carl Sagan, he's still on that gym sniper, finding value for his squad. But here's the Screaming Nimbus out from the defense to try and push out and make sure that Making Charge doesn't go down. Great stop to that plant with that final little bit of the Screaming Nimbus. Blue Jay on the retreat. But it looks like last second have been able to at least push back the offense for the time being until Devotion finds another knock. Arrow is in position to possibly go forward and get that plant, but no, he covers the retreat of his Sazabi. Now they're going to regroup to go for the plant once again on A.
Oh, I love that they shifted who was planting so the Sazabi could use their shield and just the entire giant body to shield Arrow as they planted. That was super sick, and that's also going to be a great pick on Fusion Blackie. Evictus also going down as well. This is going to be probably a needs to regroup here. The sniping from Carl Sagan, though, so confident, as we've seen so many times, to stick on the gym sniper throughout the entirety of this map.
Yeah, funnels and the Ashamar punch. That's all last second have on this retake. On the other side for Mafty, they just got the wall hacks down. They got focus with the punch, and they've got Arrow with the super nade bomb. They've also have Profi, who's almost got the funnels himself. Casino and Devotion picking up 2 as they try to run out of spawn, and things are not looking good for last second. They only have 15 seconds remaining.
Oh, yeah, and on top of that, yeah, like you said, just the G maneuvers, that Arrow G maneuver, I'm really curious where it's going to be thrown, the RX-78 Super Napalm. That could basically guarantee it, and this looks like it's being thrown out. I don't see it exploding. Oh, it looks like it was exploding in the bomb room, which is going to guarantee that there's no chance to get that disarm. That is going to be a game 1 win, or I'm sorry, round 1 win for Mafty. That is exactly how you want to optimally use that Super Napalm. If you can get it down and make sure that it doesn't get destroyed within the final seconds of a, like, either a point capture or a disarm where, you know, the opponent needs to disarm or the opponent needs to plant on a destruction mission, it literally is just like, you cannot get into this space, you automatically lose. Not the easiest thing to get off, but you know, when you're somebody like Arrow, who's also, man, I know, leading the damage by quite a bit, very impressive on RX-78, you're going to see stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Mafty were almost pushed to their limits there by last second, really struggling on the second half of the map. It was a really good defense mounted by last second, getting that first defuse, coming back, but Mafty, again, we know how good they are when they're fighting without their G maneuvers. It's once they get all their G maneuvers rotating in the right order where things just get almost unstoppable for them. They just need to take that time, right, to regroup, to regain the composure. Last second, though, are doing a great job of making sure that they're not always in their comfort zone.
I agree. They've been doing a really good job of making Mafty not look as untouchable as they usually look. They're just not quite finding the little, like, coordinated pushes to get the full team wipes. So they're missing like 1 G maneuver at a time. They are just right on the edge of basically toppling the giant that is Mafty. They just need to find the right spot, and we'll see now how well they can do on this offense. Again, big sniper difference here. You know, no Gym Sniper on the side of last second on the offense, and we are going to see Carl Sagan with that full committal as we see 4 people up top to start the defense.
Yeah, and speaking of the defense, Arrow, not on the RX-78. They're not putting as much focus on the Sazabi here. They're going to play a little bit more range, a little bit more DPS, and so instead of going for that CC, they're going for the extra damage out with that Pale Rider to try and deal with it. They don't need it. Carl Sagan gets that first knock onto Mr. Big Large.
Such a giant head on Ashamar, honestly, super true. But we got the double shield going on the offense there, of course, with the Hyperion, the new Hyperion, and the Sazabi. However, it's not going to matter if you just get focused down by focus, and that is just so much AoE damage into 1 choke point. This is a great team for being able to counter the double shield strategy, I feel. Despite the fact they don't have a melee, they can just AoE so much, and that is going to be just a fallback once again from Mafty as last second needs to regroup.
Things are a little bit scary here because Carl Sagan did so much damage, so did Arrow. So both of their offensive G maneuvers will be up fairly shortly here. Carl Sagan, just a few more headshots, should be able to get it. X1 tries to find an angle on the left-hand side. gets hit up, and he's gotta be careful backing away off of that. But they do just kind of push them back, and it's gonna be LS just giving up, or excuse me, Mafty just giving up space, and we know how good they are about being able to back away and bait them into those shots.
Oh no, TZM just barely staying alive, but it just even peaking right here is death from Casino guaranteed, and that is what's going to happen. But Casino gets traded as well. I'm surprised we're seeing such a fight back here for the relay from the side of Mafty. I'm surprised they didn't just go back in, give up this relay, and decide to defend the point. Right now, they could get staggered with the fact that the people that they're killing are going to respawn in the exact same place that they are dying in about 15 seconds.
Yeah, for Mafty though, it's all about just falling back to angles that Carl Sagan and Arrow can continue to play. As you can see, the G maneuvers are all in their favor. Carl Sagan ultimately does go down, but they got the Ashmar punch along with the energy cable, and the Hades is going to be activated fairly shortly here for Arrow, and so last second still have their work cut out for them. 2 minutes of their time have already been taken out, and they are not quite yet on the point. They're still trying to clear things out.
The one nice thing about their comp is that if they can get the double shields down and somebody else planting, they can really guarantee that there's at least a plan. Of course, they might die after that, but Arrow with the double kill from the Hades. Carl Sagan on Profi also picking up some kills. That's going to be almost entirely a team wipe. Mr. Biglar's the only one left alive, just backing up, getting there at the spawn. But I still think that they need to abuse this double shield fact, right? They need to death ball in, they need to use a few G maneuvers and just try to get that initial plant off, because once you get this plant off on this point, it can be very hard to defuse.
The difficult part is that Mafty are so good at being able to deal with clumps and being able to deal with individual units. You got Carl Sagan on the sniper. Wait, hold on a second. Here's a screaming Nimbus. Casino goes in and he goes down.
Oh yeah, that's actually huge. The -1 screaming Nimbus and not really getting all that much mileage out of it. This could be a good opportunity for Last Second to push, but they've got a few members down. Exponent, Blue Jay, and Mr. Big Large all going down and then coming back up. So they're not going to be able to take advantage definitely of that pick on Casino, but also just more and more damage. This positioning from Mafty is so good. They are rotating around the top, the bottom, but it looks like this is a push to B from Last Second.
Yeah, Blue Jay though with the Screaming Nimbus along with that Unicorn Ultimate in the back line, the Ashmar punch, everything is being used by Last Second here, and they will ultimately get that plant down on the A site. Now here's the troubling part, they don't have the same tools to really try and deal with this on the post plant, right? Using so many G maneuvers, all they have is that Lancer, and it could be good, but they need to try and get this Mega Charge down to about 10 seconds before they pop that one.
I almost wish they were on B. I feel like a Lancer to defend B would be disgusting. There's almost nowhere to move to avoid it, but it's gonna really, I think, come down to the usage of that. Focus has the punch, which could take out a lot of members if they are grouping up as well. This is gonna be a lot about positioning.
Mafty get the first pick. There's a second one. Casino taking out Fusion, Blackie. And again, they're just so good about doing their due diligence, pushing out, clearing things out, and they end up getting the defuse now. Mafty about to shut down Last Second on the first half unless someone can get a miracle plant, but no, they are all too busy trying to deal with the members of Mafty, and that's going to be Mafty taking game number 1.
I actually could not believe how like quickly that defuse happened. It was like, okay, there's going to be a fight here, and there's going to be either a defuse or a team wipe, and then that's going to be the bomb, right? But they just kind of pushed in, and then team Last Second backed up, and then it was like, okay, and it just gets diffused in the back line, which is, again, a great strength of positioning. They knew that they couldn't all sit in that A choke point. There were going to be some big AoE G maneuvers that could potentially hit them all, and they're like, well, I mean, there was the Ashmar punch, right, coming up to stop that exact thing. But the fact that they backed up to stay safe meant that there was space enough that the shield from the Sazabi could defend the disarm, and there was just no way to stop it. So I'm not sure exactly what the move was there, maybe trying to defend from the ramps. However, just great stuff as usual. We've seen Mafty retake, or I should say disarm planted mega charges more than almost any other team, I think.
Yeah, they are one of the best at it because they understand the assignment, right? They know once you get the initial pick, find a few more and then cover all your angles. Make sure that you cover all your corners, check all your corners before you go for that mega charge. And it is deceptively fast how fast that disarm actually goes down. I can't quite remember the timing, but it's like 6 seconds or so around there. And so as long as you have enough HP to cover it, you can go ahead and just go for it naked if you need to.
Yeah, it feels instantaneous if it's the other team disarming, and when it's you, it feels like it takes like 30 seconds sitting there out in the open alone as you get shot at. But no, it is true. It can be really fast, especially with now that these teams are really good at knowing how to body block effectively. But back in the day, we saw a lot of people try to body block people that were disarming or planting, and they would not quite get the entire like body behind them. But people have gotten so used to it at this point, they know what works, they know what doesn't work, and so we get to see a lot of great stuff like that. But that does mean that Mafty is working towards a three-peat here, 3 tournaments in a row. There's still going to be a few more chances in this 3 out of 5 grand finals set, so we're going to have to see if Last Second can take advantage of those. We're going to go to a short break here as we get ready for the next map, but we're going to be moving on right after this.
wanna cry.
And we're back with game number 2 of Grand Finals, where we will be going to thermal plants, a very different level and mission type than we saw in the last game, but one that I think I was going to say we could see some roster shifts and some comp shifts.
Yeah, so roster shifts coming out from either side. Nox will be coming in for Mafty and in place of Arrow, and then we have Gasman, of course, coming in for that Barbados. And that's kind of what we were expecting when we saw this map pick coming out from last second.
I'm super pumped that we're at the point in the like competitive part of the scene where it's not just teams that are trying to throw stuff together, where they actually have players that are good at particular suits, for particular levels, for particular game types, and they're switching in and out. I love to see it. But yeah, we've got the Exia, one that we used to see all the time, but now a suit that we see just some of the time. Nox, of course, still using it quite a bit.
Yeah, and I feel like that might just be to offer a little bit more CC to try and deal with Gasman, but first you got to get through Casino, who has been an incredibly aggressive Dom, and he has been basically throughout his career, but I feel like in this tournament itself, he has been even more so.
I agree. I mean, it's like almost every time is more and more impressive with Casino. Still one of my favorite players to watch. Always. Oh, gets the slam, and that is. Oh wait, didn't get the slam. Enders goes down, and then Carl Sagan manages to pick up Mr. Big Large at the same time. This is of course a huge ball. It looks like there's a few more up and ready for the side of Mafty here, just as far as getting that sort of central point positioning. And yeah, look at this. Carl Sagan on the Zaku 2 range is just hunting down the entire other team.
Yeah, it's Casino focus, Carl Sagan all coming in, just clutch up for their squad, but the two-man of Carl Sagan and Nox were able to clean things up, and so the point is now still in favor of Mafty. They've already got 28%. For last second, though, things are looking great. Gasman, we'll see if he can get inside once again to try and find the pick. Invictus pushing up, but there it is. Mr. Big Large gets the knock onto Nox.
Oh yeah, just a mid-dash attack. That was great to see. Once again, though, nobody can really lock down Carl Sagan. Casino's gonna back up a little bit. Oh, this is such a great Dom spot. You can just shoot down these ramps and do so much AoE damage as they have to move over to B. That was very calculated. Only about 5% on the side of last second, so they really weren't able to get anything going. And it looks like this entire top positioning is already taken by Mafty.
Yeah, last second, they just need to go for the full regroup. They lost out on their tank, and so they just need to make sure they don't lose out on anyone. They need to wrestle this points away, and that's a huge way to start it all off with a pick onto Carl Sagan, but it's traded back. Exponent going down. Last second here are on the high ground, pushing forward as the point unlocks. We've got Casino going in with that Screaming Nimbus, only picking up one, but he creates the space for his squad. Focus finds one more, and now Casino got a little bit lost in the sauce there, but even in that 2-for-1 exchange, or in that 2v1, he ends up getting a clutch, and there's Carl Sagan to clean it up.
That is honestly one of the greatest strengths of this team. We get so much AoE damage from Casino, we get so much AoE damage from Focus, and then we have Carl Sagan and Nox just playing these flankers on the side in one of the best flanking maps in the game that are just closing out the damage after these suits are going down to about half HP. And we can see that happening right there. Mr. Big Large getting melted by that Zaku 2 range damage, some of the highest DPS in the game.
Carl Sagan is kind of playing this one like it's pubs, you know? This is kind of the Zaku 2 range play. No, you would see in pubs where you're just afforded so much space in the back. And now you can see Mafty completely pushing out towards their spawn. Enders is on the front line. Remember, he's not on the Hyperion. He is on the Pale Rider. We don't typically see this kind of aggression coming out from the Pale. But now as the next point unlocks, it's going to be C this time around. And Mafty have 5 G maneuvers in tow, but last second are coming up on 5 themselves.
Oh, Carl Sagan used the G maneuver there to stun, I think, quite a few people. It looked like there was a pretty strong follow-up from the rest of the team, and that is going to be a lot of them going down. Invictus as well, getting staggered just a little bit. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that spawn. But they need to fight here, right? They need to fight here or it will be the end. They don't have that much time, only 82% or 85% now on board. There's only about 15 seconds left for them to actually get this push. And this huge forward hold from Mafty with 5 G maneuvers, like you said, no, 4 G maneuvers is huge. Oh, the Lancer going in, only getting 1 pick. That is going to down Nox. That's going to cancel out his G maneuver. That's a good chance, but I don't know if anybody's on point to extend this.
Yeah, the Evada system is used as well as Enders is able to push up extra time, taking away. Someone does get on there. He gets stunned up. It's Gasman cooking for his squad, but now he has to deal with the Screaming Nimbus. Never mind, it's Blue Jay coming in. Okay, he keeps it alive for last second, but this is all extra time. If Mafty get on here, if Nox gets on here, finds the kill onto Blue Jay, things are all going downhill. Mafty on the verge of taking the first round here.
Oh, There just needs to be somebody staying on point. And the problem here is that we can't play that kind of like going in and out of the points from last second because they can't get off the point or they're just going to immediately lose, basically. We do see Gasman here at full HP. This is going to be really the suit that needs to take the most damage. You know, it's got a lot of HP. It's got to soak up some of that damage as the rest of the team gets down there, but so many are going down for last second. It wasn't enough. And Mafty is going to take the first round of game number 2.
But it wasn't a 100-0. They got a good, 30 some odd % for last second there. So Mafty are not infallible. They still have to be careful about the consistent threat that Gasman has been on that Barbados. In the initial fight that started off that round, he was able to just rush on in with that Barbados, find the initial pick, and then back away. But it still came down to the tenacity of Mafty and how they kind of like to play in their pods that they were able to really succeed in those like kind of 3v3 groups that they end up throwing around.
That is really a unique Mafty strategy. Like they are exactly like you said, playing in pods. They're so good at knowing specifically how to split up into like 2 or like maybe even like 2 groups and then 1 person who's flanking, and exactly how to play as that group of suits, and then being able to actually like fight up in numbers. Like if they have 3 people, they'll be able to beat 4 people, or maybe even like just take out some people in a 5-man group while the other team is doing something else, whether it's like split pushing, getting in a better position, taking a point, getting some sort of objective. And that is just really a Mafty specialty in my eyes.
And here we go, round number 2. I'm trying to see if there's any kind of swap-offs, but no, it looks like very similar compositions coming up from either side, so no one's really going to try and change things up. It's going to be B once again, starting all the things. It's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange, though. Fusion Blackie for Casino. Blue Jay ends up going down. Carl Sagan finds that one, so the fight going in the favor of Mafty. The point will unlock in 5 more seconds.
Carl Sagan is putting in so much work on this map. And the funny thing, too, is that Mafty even could have Arrow on Zakutu ranged as well. They've got 2 strong Zakutu ranged players. But the buff that we got in the last patch that was just a few days ago means it can play so much more risky. And that's what we're seeing Carl Sagan do. Like you said, it's playing it almost like it's a pub, but it's because you get that extra bar of boost meter when you use your invincibility with the smoke grenade. And we can see the level of escape that you can get on this suit right now is, honestly, this is a weird fight happening at A as the point on B is open.
Yeah. Enders, though, ends up finding one. Never mind. It's focus. Yeah, that's the reason why he is one of our candidates for MVP. So make sure you get on Twitter, make those votes counts in the poll. But it looks like for Team Mafty, they should be able to secure all 46% here on B. We're going to be swapping on over to C. Carl Sagan is all the way on the other side of the map, trying to get some early control for his team.
Oh yeah, this was using this mobility so well. Carl Sagan feels like he's everywhere in this map for some reason. I mean, hey, it's Zakutu melee, it's Carl Sagan, it makes sense, but it's just like no matter where you go, what point you're at, you could be completely on the other side of the map, and suddenly Carl Sagan is there and melting you with lots of Zakutu ranged headshots. But here we go, C opening in about 20 seconds, and this has been the Gasman point. This has been when he's the most effective so far. However, they've been really good at shutting him down, so we'll see if he can get his picks and come out alive.
Exponent does have to be careful here. He's kind of on his own, and you really don't want to do that as the Sazabi, but he's starting to push forward. Has now focused in the sky with the help of Carl Sagan. Ends up taking out Gasman and Exponent now. Mafty, they have a huge lead here as they pick off one more member of last second. The point has a lock. They're at 50%. Now about to take the 2-0 lead, unless last second have something to say about it, but no, it's been all Mafty.
100% Mafty, more so than the last round even. And I do like this choice to run away, but it does seem like X-Men is staying a little bit far forward when the rest of the team is starting to regroup. Luckily, hasn't been taken down quite yet, and is building a good amount of G maneuver for whatever this next push is. But again, on the side of Mafty, there are 3 big G maneuvers that can completely shut down a push. And we might see one soon, but no, Casino pretty low. Just get out of there.
Did you say, okay, you have to remember that Dom only has the 1 dash. Even though he went for the half dash there, he still half dashed into a team of 3. That's how aggressive Casino has been playing all tournament long. And sometimes he gets punished for it, but when he gets rewarded, it's absolutely huge now. Mafty with 91.5%. They just need a little bit more there. They'll take the 2-0 lead. It's going to be back to point B, and they have so many tools to close out this map.
This can be a tough one to retake if, as kind of like a final point, if the entirety of Team Last Second can get to the high ground here and win this first fight and just kind of take positioning, this can be pretty good. But here we go. Casino using very preemptively this G maneuver, but that is going to be almost an entire team wipe to guarantee that they are going to get this point first. Mr. Big Large, the only one left alive, trying to be as slippery as possible, but you can only be so slippery against Team Mafty, and that is going to be a take. There's going to be maybe a few people trickling in, but I don't know if they can hold long enough to be able to retake this point. This looks like it could be 100-0. They get on point.
It's the Hades that gets absolutely shut down by Mafty, hiding behind Fusion Black, the only one up, but he will ultimately fall. Mafty take a 2-0 here, and now extend their lead to 2 maps up against Last Second in this best of 5.
I mean, there have been moments that have looked really good, right? The last take on C in round number 1. There were not many fights in that last round that really went their way, but I think that there's a chance here. There's still a chance here. They just need to unlock that one, like coordinated push that they have just not quite been able to get, which is tough, right? We know that Mafty is one of the strongest defensive teams, maybe the strongest defensive team that we have ever seen, partially because they are so good at getting maximum effect from all of their G maneuvers. Like, for example, right there, they were so ready to push, they'd get that last push, and all it took was one Casino Screaming Nimbus, who, man, note, gets it all the time because he does infinite damage every game, but all it took was one Screaming Nimbus, and it shut down the entire push. There were G maneuvers that were available to be used that didn't even need to be used because they had already made such good effect of that one G maneuver, and there was nothing on the side of Last Second. So if they can coordinate, maybe just take more deaths, take more losses, but get those big pushes, it might be enough. Obviously super difficult because Mafty's ridiculous.
It is really weird, right? Because Last Second, they do want to play it in a coordinated style, but the thing is, they are succeeding a lot off of the back of Gasman being able to find some of these picks. And so in that chaos, that's where they are able to find some success. Unfortunately for them, though, Mafty are ready to deal with both styles when it's coordinated and when it comes down to just being an all-out scrap because of that kind of pod system that they work off, their partner system, buddy system, right? And they always have someone backing each other up in those fights. It's never just like a 1v1. Whenever you come at a member of Mafty, someone else is going to show up to help deal with that.
Yeah, the funniest moment in that last game was when Gasman saw a pick, jumped up, and then realized, oh, there's focus right above me, and I've already jumped, and I can't move, and I am just going to die. Like, just straight up looking up there like, I have no aerial momentum changers, I am donezo. And that was exactly what happened, just that perfect angle from focus. But there's one chance left for Team Last Second to make this reverse sweep. They're going to have to fight hard for it. They've got at least 3 maps that they need to take here, but it's going to have to all be in a row. We're going to get to map number 3 when we come back from this short break as we get this set up. So don't go anywhere. This could be the final game or the start of the best comeback ever. A last chance for last second here in the grand finals as we are going to map number 3 with a 2-0 lead on the side of Mafty. We're going to be slowing things down quite a bit. We, of course, were just on a very close domination map, but this is going to be one of the widest open maps. We're going to probably see, we'll guaranteed see some comp switches. I want to see if we're going to see any players switched out. It looks like we are.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make sure everyone gets their reps in, and so a lot of swaps coming in to Zim is going to be back in for last second, and so yeah, Barbados, not quite the map not quite the unit you want for this map. He doesn't really have the same angles of approaches that he would, like we saw on Thermal. This is so wide open. There are so many clear skies that the approach is really telegraphed, and so teams are ready for it. But for the last second here on the defense, they are not going to be running a counter sniper. Carl Sagan, though, we got to see it on in the first game of this set on Underground Command Center, and he is going to bring it out once more.
One of the things I'm most excited to see here as this first initial push is happening is Ender's back on the Hyperion. Ender's one of the best Hyperion players that we've seen. We've seen a few really strong ones over the course of this tournament, but Ender's is just so good at getting as much damage as possible while still being essentially like a half tank, half support.
Yeah, and we talk about, you know, a lot of times it feels like we put a lot less resources into the DPS, but this one is a composition that can kind of flex, right? You can get aggressive, but you can also fall back and peel for a unit like the Gym Sniper, like Carl Sagan, who has been, well, a unit in and of himself. That's a 1-for-1 exchange, though, but it's still going to go the way of Mafty on this offense. They're already about to get their first tick as they clean up to Zim. Still need to finish things off, and there they go. Cleaning up the last 2 members of last second. They will secure point A, but we know how aggressive Mafty get here before the reinforcements get in.
Because you know, using the laser across the bridge. It's so smart. You just have to be a good shot with it. And of course, Casino is one of the best shots with that laser that we've ever seen. But you know, actually our point of view right here is Devotion. I wanted to talk about Devotion, really one of the MVPs, especially in that last push. Being able to get a lot of kills while keeping people barely alive in all the key moments. I feel like we don't talk about them enough, but oh my gosh, 2 huge picks here on the side of last second. But as I said, Devotion gets another repair on Carl Sagan, who then gets a kill, just like I was saying.
And this choke point now getting broken to Zim is up top, but he doesn't have that same kind of lethality. He doesn't have a team around him to really support him, and he's just looking for a window to try and run away. Mafty, though, are closing the nets around him. As you can see, a pincer attack from either side, and now it's Mr. Big Large that's isolated by himself. They're going to try and create space on the last second side as the Exponent pushes up, but he is once again on his own, and he has to be careful.
Oh, Zim and Casino are both really low, but there's just that little group right there. If there's enough AoE damage, that little group of Mafty players will just melt. But Casino's going to be the first one to get a pick on Blue Jay, as Focus is trying to find a good spot maybe for a flame grenade. Oh, here's the flight over. This is huge. This is the big push. Casino using the G maneuver. Screaming Nib is coming out. Going to get a few hits in, only confirming 1 kill, but it's going to display so much of the team that it should allow Mafty to get on point, and they will just barely, but nobody's staying on.
Yeah, they want to clear things out first. They want to make sure that they have the high ground. There it is. Focus will steal it away from them. He can get back up there whenever he wants. The Ashmar punch to make sure he gets rid of Invictus. Now there's only 2 members to try and defend here. Mafty, though, still not on the point. And so despite getting a lot of picks, they have to go for the reset.
Yeah, it seemed like they did so well in that fight, but I think that the key here for defending is to be so split up. I know it sounds weird, but if you're really split up as the defenders here, it's really hard to hit you from every angle. And so it's really easy for just like a lot of angles to be held on the actual site. And sometimes you get your respawns before they can actually hunt down every single person on your team. This is, though, not the choke point still. This is still a great positioning for Mafty. They can absolutely get a team wipe here with CZM, though. Using the Hades is going to get a lot of damage in, however, hasn't confirmed a kill yet. There's one.
Oh my goodness, the trades though. You have to realize that in this fight, Mafty did not use any G maneuvers. That was the Hades, the funnels, and the energy cable coming out from last second just to try and push them back to choke. That does bleed out time though. Mafty are now down to 2 minutes and 15 seconds here, the second half of Harbor City.
I'm really excited to potentially see Enders use this Lancer G maneuver. It might not come soon, you know, the team is in a weird positioning right here, and yeah, I mean, Enders going down, but at some point, this can actually just knock an entire team off of the map into the ocean, which is still what I've been waiting to see constantly. It actually is a great defensive hold here from last second. They have pushed Team Mafty all the way back to that super important choke point when Mafty had already pushed past it in their initial push and held the forward position, so this is back to a really tough spot for Mafty.
And importantly, they get them there in time. Fusion Blackie has that butterfly, and he's instantly going to go ahead and pop it, though. He gets shot out of the sky. Carl Sagan will be able to clear him out and find one more. But the damage has been done. Mafty cannot push off of this as we get Blue Jay getting res back on up. Focus going down as well. And so the threat was there, and it was enough from Fusion Blackie to stop Mafty in their tracks. Now there's down to basically one final push, but we know never count out Mafty.
There are two potentially big G maneuvers here, but Ender's going down. That's huge. They really needed to use that to get this point. And look at how much damage is on the side of Mafty. They are all just melting. Prof, the only one healthy. Casino does get a health pack, but he's just so far back. He's going to be able to get the repair on Carl Sagan. That is a complete shutdown. Oh, wait a minute. What just happened? So many people died in the background. I didn't even know there were enough people up on the side of Mafty to get that, but this is going to be a start of a great push.
Yeah, there were some repairs that came in for Mafty, and that's why it's so clutch. But Casino already, and once again, into the front, into the back with that Screaming Nimbus. He has 3 players basically backed up here. He just needs the rest of his squad to win out on their duels. Casino comes back to help him out, but Tazim will clean them up. And there's a repair onto Blue Jay. Mafty might not be able to finish off this round. There's only 19 seconds to go. They've lost half their team. They're sent back to spawn. There's only 15 seconds remaining, Wonder.
Focus can get on point, but how long can Focus stay on point? That's the only suit that maybe is even close enough with 5 seconds left. Oh, but it goes down. This might not be anybody to extend to overtime.
Man, Tazim comes in with that Hades. Mafty, unfortunately, we're not able to finish things off there. And I think this is the first time we have not seen them finish out a map.
Not only did they not finish on a map, they didn't even get a tick on the second point here. This is, I would say, yeah, for sure the biggest, I don't know, the biggest wall that they've hit, I guess is the best way to put it. It is not going to be easy. Well, that's sick. Look at that shot. Look at the waves. This is nice. I'm about it. Going right under the pier. But yeah, this is tough.
Making waves has been a lot of our Ashlamar players that I really do want to highlight what Mr. Big Large did there. We saw at one point where Mafty were able to push out past that choke point, right? Where we see all the fighting that normally takes place. But Mr. Big Large was consistently a threat on that Ashmar playing inside that center platform, that covered platform. And you saw that Mafty were really hesitant to try and push past him because we know how big the Ashmars are when they come in and are able to throw down that flame on a death ball. So even though like he's not getting all the kills in the world, the consistent threat of Mr. Big Large has been slowing down Mafty quite a bit.
It has. Mr. Big Large, of course, been consistently one of our best Ashramars from event number 1 even, I think, or maybe event number 2, but that was a long time ago and I'm old, so I forget. I just want to point out how strong Carl Sagan was in that last game. We saw his damage equal up to Casino and Focus, and Jim Sniper can be one of those suits kind of like Barbados where you don't get maximum damage, you just get kills. However, Carl Sagan is getting so many hits and kills that the damage is equal up to the AoE damage suits, and Carl Sagan's gotten a ton of remote repairs, just one of the strongest players, as expected, as we're used to.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a counter sniper really to deal with. I mean, the closest one is going to be Fusion Blackie on that turn 8, but there's a huge difference in DPS at that point, or at least the lethality of the unit here. As I speak of it, he even finishes him off. He does have to be careful, though. He does take that damage, and that's what we're talking about. The burst damage that is there for Fusion Blackie can put a stop to Carl Sagan, but you can see they're putting a lot of resources into him right now, buying that space for him to try and find those picks.
And the nice thing is, oh, okay, actually, hold on. Here's a really big push. That shield came out at the perfect time, actually completely blocked the flame grenade. And that is going to be basically an entire team wipe. That is the entire team wipe. Just saying, no, not even a res. You know, you held us at point B. We're going to try to hold you at point A. That shield from Enders was gigantic. That was everything, just completely blocking the flame grenade from hitting their own defensive death ball.
Beautiful reposition as well coming out from Carl Sagan, right? He was expecting the dive coming out from last second to come basically at this angle where he's standing now. Instead, he was basically sitting on the other side off to the left here. And so they didn't have to worry about peeling for him when they went in for that dive because, well, they just needed to handle their duels, handle their fights. And now Carl Sagan is just showing why he is an extreme threat across so many multiple units, whether it's on the Gym Sniper or even if it's on the Zaku 2 range, the RX-78-2, basically his entire pool. There's another pick onto the Zim. And take a look at how dominant he's been. Last second have been able to get nothing going. The closest person to their first G maneuver is Mr. Big Large at 60% essentially after 2 minutes of play.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, this is almost a nice attempt to push up, but we know that there's just too many healthy members of Mafty. Anders is going to go down finally, but there's no way they're going to be able to take advantage of this. There's going to be another maybe 30 seconds off the clock as they're going to sit here and have to regroup. And one of the biggest problems, I think, so far is they haven't been able to shut down Carl Sagan. There is no counter sniper. You mentioned the Fusion Blackie can get some nice damage onto Carl Sagan, which is true, but you can't actually get the kill, so Devotion is going to be there to heal back up immediately, and they're going to start their defense again. However, they are really backing up here. This is a very far retreat from the side of Mafty. They're just letting them walk up now.
I think Mafty are just trying to bait them in for these G maneuver defenses, right? They've got the Screaming Nimbus, they've got the Ashmar Punch. It goes a little wide, but it does end up hitting the target of Tazim in the back. Screaming Nimbus just to follow up and clean things out, and Casino will go ahead and knock them all down. That's what it was, just bait back. We talk about Mafty time and again, are so good at bending, but not breaking.
That was one of the juiciest Screaming Nimbuses I think we've ever seen, and now there is only 1 minute left. This is tournament point here for Mafty. They did take the first point on offense, so if we can't see the first point taken from last second, they will lose with only 50 seconds left. They need to make this be their final push. They only have 1 G maneuver. They might get funnels back up from Exponent, but this is so tough.
Yeah. We saw Mafty getting held on point B, and they took that personal, and they're deciding to go for a full hold here. We do have G maneuvers getting popped though. Profi has his funnels out, but he just needs to stay alive as Exponent ends up going down. Victus will finally clean him up, but this is just the beginning. They still have to take this point. Now we'll see if Mafty can give them time to try and completely shut them out. At the very least, last second starting to make progress here, cleaning up one more, but they lose out on focus. You need to go ahead and clean things up.
This is for sure going to be a take, and still living true to their name, Last Second is going to take this in the last second, technically in overtime, going to at least get point A. So that means that they now have the opportunity to win. They don't have a lot of time, but they can push forward. If they get even a single tick on point B, they will take their first game of the set.
Lancer versus basically the other Lancer for Invictus. You got the Butterfly coming up as well, and there it is, instantly being popped, but Enders gets cleared out. Last second are able to back up just in time. They need to heal up though before they still go for these peaks. We know that the Ashmar can dish out so much damage, and Focus is off on his own on the left side just to cover that. And it's going to be Carl Sagan coming in, getting that clutch up kill onto Big Large, slowing things down despite the numbers disadvantage. Mafty are going to hold on to this choke.
Focus just landed an actual 6-man flame grenade, and that built so much G maneuver meter, and it's so much damage that was disgusting. And that's actually really put Last Second into a tough spot. They just don't have that group healing of like a unicorn to be able to heal all that back up. Oh, but here we go, the butterfly from Fusion Blackie. Will it be countered? Just shot out of the air before any mileage gets Devotion, but that is it.
That's an easy shutdown for them. Carl Sagan hits the body, and you got Casino with that laser at the end to finish things off. Now we've seen how good teams are at responding to the unicorn, to the butterfly, but it seems like here you typically get a little bit more value, but man, the response time coming up from Mafty is just absolutely clean. Now, Last Second with 40 seconds remaining. Need to go ahead and push up. Now, of course, if they don't get any progress, that means we will be going to a tiebreaker though.
Oh, but this is looking really good. They've got 2 G maneuvers. They just need to take a little bit more. Blue Jay managing to get a few picks here with that G maneuver, and only one going down on the side of Last Second. This looks like this should be it. They just need to get this player off, and that is going to be the first game on the board for Last Second.
Oh, wow. Last Second are able to finish it off. They're going to send us to a map 4. And they actually make Mafty bleed. What an incredible prospect. Wow.
That is, I mean, it's so perfect that it's, again, at the last second. They took point A at the last second. They took point B at the last second. They are staying too true to their name for comfort, right? It's like, I'm telling you, they need to change their name to First Push. And if they change the name to First Push, they will just win every single game on the first push. No worries at all. But they have played extremely well so far. And finally, I'm glad to see that it's really paying off, right? That was a great coordinated push. And what we usually see from Mafty is that they have all the G maneuvers ready, but they were out of G maneuvers in that final moment. And we had the Screaming Nimbus and the Hades, which is, of course, a disgusting combo that was able to just clean up so much of that final fight and put last second on the board. And as much of a Mafty fan as I am, because I honestly love every single player on Mafty, I'm really happy that we're seeing a team take it to them like this for basically the first time.
And ultimately, you know, I'm a Gundam Evo fan, so I want to see more competitive Gundam evolution. I don't want it to just be 3-0s, 2-0 closeouts. I want to see as much as possible because, you know, these events don't come as often, even though this year alone you've already had 3.
I know. It's a little bit more often now, but regardless, we don't get, especially matches like this very often. You know, we don't get to see this highest caliber of level of play. And so I'm glad that we get to see more. But of course, that does mean we are going to a map number 4, which is for sure the first time in the entire tournament that we're going to see that. We're going to go to a short break, though, of course, to get it set up. And we're going to see if the start of the last second reverse sweep will continue right after this. Last second, finally taking a game here against Team Mafty for the very first time, and now they're going to be going back to Flak Fort, which was a map that we saw very interesting game on in their first set in winners finals. It does appear that we have a little bit of a roster switch going on. I'm excited to see what that exactly is going to be. That is why we had a little bit of an extended break, but we now are in a spot where the chance for last second to make a huge reverse sweep, a huge upset is here. The way that they played on that final map was so incredibly clutch. I think that the momentum is just, at least the mental momentum is in their favor.
Yeah, but it was scary. Like you said, living up to their name time and again, especially here in the grand finals. You couldn't ask for more, but there were so many players that ended up clutching for them. And it was a lot of individual players. But right now, as we take a look at Mafty, I mean, we saw them, I believe, earlier playing kind of a little bit more aggressive on the start here on the defense, playing off on the bridge. Don't know if that's going to continue there for them. Oh, wait, never mind. That's last second. I'm sorry, getting a little bit confused here. But no surprises here. Gasman is going to come in for that Barbados.
Yeah, this is such a good point in particular for Barbados, especially on this 8 points. But then B, those walls can be jumped over extremely well as well. No challenge, like you mentioned, on the bridge. We saw a little bit of that, but the push looks like it's going to, as usual, be around this left side. Focus really poking their head out, but not getting hit that much. Fusion Blackie on the other side is kind of starting to melt.
Yeah, he's got to be careful. He does have his nano skin popping and he picks up a health pack there, but he was just trying to get a nice little cheeky 4-man, 5-man. Ooh, the nice dodge out as Focus ends up finding the first pick. That's Blue Jay going down. Last second's defense is crumbling here as Exponent will get chased down by Carl Sagan on this turn A. One tick has already been secured for Mafty. Again, it's all about just cleaning out the angles and making sure that they do their due diligence.
Like you mentioned, they really don't aggressively try to take the point. They fight, and then point's like a secondary condition almost. You can see they've got this great positioning, though, that's allowing them to at least have somebody sitting down on the point, as last second is really forced into the back of the building. Not a good space at all to fight from. We are going to see Focus go down, but I think this might be a spot where you almost have to give up this point and not get staggered. We know that if Mafty takes this right now, gets a team wipe, they are going to be on B in seconds.
As it looks like it is still getting contested at the moments, and so Mafty are having difficulty clearing out that last member that is on points, but ultimately they should. But here it is, the Ashmar punch from Mr. Big Large. He doesn't have the follow-up though, and we'll have members surviving. Exponent finally follows up, taking out Carl Sagan at the very least, but the space created is still burning away time for Mafty, who are now down to 2 minutes. Ultimately, they will be able to secure it. Doesn't seem like there's any forward spawns though, and so last second, don't really have to worry about bleeding out members there. Now Mafty are charging forward.
The big thing here is, can Mafty get past the Zeke choke point? They know that not everybody on their team is going to be there, but there's certainly enough to at least stop them if they get too reckless. And it seems like their choice is going to be push around the right side instead. They're getting quite a bit of damage, especially Exponent is going down quite a bit, but that's a choke point that can be really tough, especially when you have somebody like Fusion Blackie getting all that extra collateral damage on the fully charged turn A shots.
Yeah, the fully charged turn A shots, getting the collateral damage is absolutely huge. I mean, the AoE that's coming out from these compositions with the Ashmar turn A combo is so strong. Now Fusion Blackie, he's going to be the first one with the G maneuver on his squad for the defense for the last second here. So the butterfly might be what they need to clear things out. Casino going in with that screaming Nimbus, creates space for Arrow in the back, but Fusion Blackie answers back, finding one with that butterfly before he goes down. 100 HP, he somehow survives. And that is what last second needed for the defense. Casino is still somehow alive back here before he finally falls, but you can see why he is such a huge threat.
I know, just unkillable sometimes and just does so much damage, but that was great to see a knowledge of kind of the airspace after using that butterfly G maneuver. That was an interesting choice to be like, go around the mountain, and it worked perfectly. 100 HP is, that means that you played that basically as best as you could.
Now Carl Sagan has the butterfly himself. He will not opt to pop it here because, well, Gasman doesn't give him the choice, taking him out. It's going to be a turn A for turn A. that does mean Mafty have to go for the reset. Time ticking away. Last second doing a great job of delaying things, bringing this down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining for them. The evaded system active, or able to be activated by Gasman for this defense.
I think that there's a chance. Oh, we're gonna see the energy cable along with the funnels popped on the side of Mafty, but I think there's a chance that we're gonna see the Gasman G maneuver to try to counter this if he can even get in position. No, nobody's gonna be able to stop Carl Sagan. He's gonna get a lot of damage here. Gasman is still available with that G maneuver and using it on point to get as much damage as possible, but it doesn't get any kills. Finally gets a follow-up on Casino, but I don't know if he's gonna be able to hold off the entire team of Mafty.
Yeah, Arrow does have the Hades system activated right now, but he's not able to get through the chunky bodies quite yet. Fusion Blackie somehow staying alive for last second, and they hold on for dear life. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining now. Mafty utilized so many G maneuvers, the butterfly, the Hades, along with the funnels. Now they're just going down to the Screaming Nimbus and the Punch of Focus.
And we really need to see Casino build this G maneuver meter quickly, right? They can't spend that much more time. It's about to be up. Okay, yeah, those few shots that were landed were exactly what were necessary. This needs to be the Screaming Nimbus of all time, basically. It needs to be perfect. It needs to get just enough of these members, but they're kind of split up on the side of LS. This is going to be basically a solo G maneuver here on Expedit that will get the down. They're going to have to pick that and push with it. Focus still has the punch, but no G maneuvers on the other side and 2 players down.
Yeah, they were able to take out Mr. Big Large, who has been such a huge contributor when it comes to the overall DPS. And now take a look at the high ground control that's coming out from Mafty. The drop down from Focus off the top ropes. He hits the elbow, takes him out, will ultimately fall. But Fusion Blackie is here now with the butterfly. Cleans up 1, cleans up 2. And that is going to be enough for the defense. 27 seconds remaining. And Mafty are sent packing. They only secured 38% overall as last second are cleaning up stragglers here in the end.
Yeah, Carl Sagan still in kind of a sneaky little spot, then gets picked up, literally thrown off the point. I don't know if anybody's going to be even close enough or close to enough. It would have to be Focus, but getting burned down so quickly, that looks like that is going to be, honestly, a pretty strong hold here from last second. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but that is a really good amount of defense, especially considering the last time they played on this map. Just to remind everybody, okay, so if we start with last second, getting 3, pushing through A immediately, pushing through B immediately, getting 3 ticks, and then nothing more for the next like 5 minutes. Mafty, on the other hand, just pushed through immediately, not quite as fast, but they took the entire point. So now we've seen the opposite, where Mafty is pushed through and then not being able to get more than 1 point. Already LS is doing so much better than they were.
Yeah, the difference is I believe Mafty got close to 40%, right? For the last second, you know how close it was? I believe it was around 96, 95. Extremely close for them. And so this is looking a little bit scary at last second or now, putting the proposition up. Map number 5, I would love to see it. We were saying at the beginning of the tournament, there are basically 2 teams that were really looking to challenge Mafty. Last second is one of them, and they're really living up for that.
We have never had a map number 5 in the history of any of these Gundam Evolution events, you know, here for the any of the Gundam Evolution New Type League events at the very minimum. This would be incredible. I mean, I really want to see it. Again, completely unbiased. I absolutely love every player on Mafty, but I just think the hype would be ridiculous. Carl Sagan here on the turn A once again. I don't think any of these teams are really switching up all that much. We're just going to see people stick to their guns and try to just play better in the individual situations.
Yeah, I wonder what like the Gundam Evolution equivalent of like Silver Scrapes would be. Like which Gundam theme would be like the Map 5 song that we go to. But you know what? We'll have to put that thought to a later date, as now it's going to be last second on the offense here, pushing right across the bridge.
And once again, we are, oh my gosh, that's so much damage on last second. I actually feel like they need to just back up and just let themselves kind of auto heal. All right, they are going to get enough of a heal, but that's so much G maneuver built on the side of Mafty. Each of them is at about 10 to 20%, and the side of last second has almost none, except for Fusion Blackie, who has actually kind of a ridiculously high amount.
Oh no, Gasman tries to go in, but they were just a little bit uncoordinated on this push as the bulk of the army did not push out in time for him. He was trying to create that space, but they've already secured one tick. A second about to come in. No, someone actually gets off the points in the last second. So unfortunately, they will only get the one tick here. It was the first fight though, and we got to see last second on their defense, they did delay Mafty quite a bit. But the troubling part is that Mafty are doing such a great job, like you said, building up that G maneuver. Gasman in on his own once again, and there is the peel for Mafty.
Oh, but the fact that they have to turn around and deal with Gasman meant another tick and almost a third tick have been taken. I mean, even if they just, okay, there's the third tick, this is gonna work. Even if they just get wiped, the fact that they are making people turn around, deal with Gasman, and then they just slowly take the point themselves, it's working. It's a slow push, but it's working, and they've got time. All they need to do is get past that first tick. Whoa, what a shot.
Oh man, they almost got the repair there, but regardless, they were gonna have to go for that reset last second now with 2 minutes and 20 seconds. But yeah, rinse and repeat, send Gasman in, make him the sacrificial cow or the sacrificial Barbados, and then just get that last tick because it happened so quickly. Once you have the 3 members on the point, you can see he is lurking to go for it once again.
No! Oh no, Gasman a little bit too close to death there, 62 HP. And going in with such little life, oh yeah, that's definitely not gonna work out. Once again though, they just have to deal with this, right? They have to turn around. It doesn't seem like there was as much of a concentrated push from the side of last second this time around. They might just be standing back outside. Doesn't seem like the combat's really popping off. Waiting for Gasman to come back. He should get back pretty quickly. This is, I think, one of their biggest chances here. There's only maybe 2 more big pushes with this amount of time.
Mr. Big Large does have a punch ready, and now he is going for that flank. They should have heard him. Casino gets the first knock, though. There is the punch onto multiple members of Mafty, but no one's in position to try and punish it because Casino is there with the Screaming Nimbus to try and shut it down. Gasman, though, can he make miracles happen? As Blue Jay backs away, Casino will go down. He had that HP pack, but will they be able to get the res? No, he gets finished off, and now it looks like last second have the opportunity to come in, finish things off. The point is still getting contested right now. Devotion has fallen, and they cannot go for the repair quite yet. Hades system activated, though, but he gets shut down. Blue Jay will come in. Carl Sagan with the butterfly, but this is not the point you want to try and use the butterfly from. Not from the inside at the very least. And it is last second once again. Getting it, Carl Sagan now getting staggered on the retreat.
That's huge. They used Hades, they used Butterfly, they used Screaming Nimbus, everything, and it wasn't able to stop the push. They do have some G movers available. They got the funnels and the energy cable, which are both being used right now, but they're using it so quickly. If this doesn't result in a team wipe, this is going to be a huge resource advantage on the side of last second to try and push in. This could be the moment. They only need, again, like 1.5 ticks. They just need to stay alive here. They're doing it quite well. The entire G maneuver basically wasted without a kill. 2 G maneuvers on the side of Mafty.
That was beautiful. They hear the G maneuvers popped and they just back away. They don't need to fight into it. They don't need to give away extra G maneuver ults basically towards last seconds because so many of them are close. You can see that we do have the punch for focus, but on the other side for last second for the offense, they're gonna have Gasman close. They're gonna have the Screaming Nimbus, the punch, and of course that Gundam turn A butterfly ready to go. Invictus is close to the Lancer as well, and they are setting up for this push.
Oh, I think we're about to see it. Here it is. This is going to decide so much. Fusion Blackie not getting focused out, getting 1 kill on Casino, doing a lot of damage, getting Profi down. This is a huge advantage. Only 2 members up for Mafty. This last second can hold on here. Just keep the trickle of Mafty players out. We could go to a game 5. They've got 1 tick. Nobody's on point. And we're going to go to our first ever game number 5 here in Grand Finals.
Wow, we are actually getting a game number 5. That is absolutely crazy. We were wondering at the beginning of the tournament, can anyone even make Mafty bleed? Well, that's 2 maps in a row now for last second. This is where we pop just communication. Let's go. It's map number 5.
Oh, I know this. I mean, we were originally asking, can Mafty bleed? But now the question is, can Mafty not get reverse swept? Because these have been really, really good games so far from last second. They found whatever it is that they needed to find. They won 2 literal last second points to make the comeback on the Harbor City attack. And then from that, they were like, hold on a minute, we can do this. And then it's just been momentum. Now, mean, potentially not only the first game 5, but we are potentially at the first reverse sweep if they can keep going. Mafty, for the first time, are almost want to say like they're not down in a set, but for the first time, they actually have to think like, hold on, we're on the back foot in a set. We are not at an advantage here. We need to think. We need to figure out what's actually going on, what they're doing that's beating us. Because at this point, you know, they are currently like basically losing the fights overall. And a lot of it is going to come down to what our next map is. I actually forget what it is because this has been so intense, but Mountain R&D, what a like an even intense map to be our 5th map, our decider that has been the decider a lot of this time around. I'm so excited.
And the thing is, I mean, you know, it is 2-2, but the problem is it's last second now riding the momentum. This reverse sweep, there's something indescribable about that energy when you're on that team that's riding that reverse sweep energy. There's something that completely changes the battlefield. So even though it is an even scoreline, it is all right now last second.
Oh, well, this is your last chance here to, you know, use the restroom to get a snack, to get a drink. With all this excitement, I certainly need a drink. But we are going to go to our Game 5, our first Game 5 ever in Gundam Evolution New Type League tournament's history. And it might be the first time that Mafty actually goes down, or the first time that they're going to make a comeback and see how they play on the back foot. Regardless, Game 5, the deciding game of Grand Finals, will start right after this short break. Just take your time, but be back here. You're not going to want to miss it.
Wanna cry.
History has already been made as we enter our 5th game of grand finals for the first time ever, but history will continue to be made. This will either be the first three-peat in the history of the Breakout series or the first reverse sweep in a grand finals, plus the first person to ever defeat Mafty. One of those two things will come true, and it all comes down to, in my opinion, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think this is an excellent map for testing both of these teams, Mountain R&D.
And it's kind of crazy, the composition that we're seeing. It's not going to be anything mirrored anymore here. Mountain RD, typically, you know, we see a lot of the very similar compositions, but taking a look at what's being hovered right now, Mafty, Carl Sagan back on that turn A, which can definitely work out here on Mountain R&D. On the other side, for last second, Gasman is, of course, going to be on that Barbados, but is Victus now. He's going to be the tanky front line with the help of Exponent.
I'm surprised we're not seeing a turn A from Fusion Blackie. You know, that was such a key, I guess, piece of the puzzle for winning in that last game. And this is such a good turn A map, but we're not going to see it. So we'll just move on. The high ground being taken slightly by Mafty, but they are bleeding a good amount of damage. Gasman's dive did not quite go the way that he wanted to. I'm not sure who's going to get this first. It looks like LS is actually going to be taking the first point just for a moment.
Yeah, and so, I mean, they end up losing out on their Sazabi on the Mafty side, and so with the double tanky front line with the Victus there with the extra shield, last second have a lot more staying power, so they ultimately win out because of HP. And it's the first time, I believe, when it comes to domination maps, where last second get the point first, but it's not for long unless they can delay this one out. Mafty are here cleaning things up. Tizim is still alive, getting some kills, getting some damage off. You can see the retreat coming up from Mafty right now, trying to clear out the rest of the angles, but this point is going to go largely even between the two teams.
That was one of those odd times where actually, like, staggering your lives can actually work out very well, because all you need to do is extend the time that you have that, and dying there, you're still going to get to this point A in time. But it looks like point A, or I'm sorry, there's a retake with 5 seconds left. Point A is not going to open for a little bit with about a 30-15 lead for last second, but oh, what a melt right there. The combination of Carl, Sagan, and Devotion, who switched over to the Unicorn.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like that old Twitter thread where you would, like, put, you know, the choking hand next to, I think, like, Naruto or, like, Sasuke, right? That's what it looked like right there with the turn A Gundam onto the Barbados. Victus does have to be careful. They can go for the regroup before the point unlocks, but as he peeks the corner, Enders tags him, takes him out. Now things are looking a little bit dire. Tizim in the back line, though. He's got the Hades system activated right now. He needs to get the finish off. It was so close, but on the retreat, Focus takes him out, baits him into that angle, and it's Mafty now about to tie things up. It's 25% and ticking.
Focus is so good at shooting out of the air, like in all the weirdest situations, whether transformed or like falling down, just like always has a sight line on whoever is around. Oh, Victus poking in. Blue Jay getting picked, actually not backing up quite in time. Gasman, though, gonna get a little bit of a pick, and that is going to be enough to at least kind of tie things up on this point here. Just a little bit of a brawl. It's so hard to win the 1v1 against the Hyperion when the shield is up, but the 3v1, very doable.
Yeah, no, we have to remember, it's not just about staggering here, but if you can dominate, that's even better. We'll see if they get all the percentage or if someone from last second sneaks in like they did there on that last point to get a little bit for their squad, because they're going to need every last ounce. Now as we go back on over to point C, it's looking like it's, you know, very similar to what we've had in the past. Funnel's gonna get popped from around the corner. They're charged forward now with the shields as well. Gasman finds one in the back line, taking out Focus. Devotion has to back away with the squad. He's got the Unicorn G maneuver down, and as they back away, they find one onto Exponent. They won't be able to clean things up cleanly, though, as Gasman gets into the back with the evaded system, and as the point unlocks, it's gonna be last second, taking point C once again.
Oh, this is so close. They're staying neck and neck. This isn't just the usual Mountain R&D thing of somebody taking the high ground and holding it the entire time. This is a back and forth on each point, not even just point to point. Carl Sagan, though, we do see has the butterfly G maneuver. This is going to be a huge part of potentially retaking this. Most people are off the point, but this has to be it. Now we are going to see the Lancer counter on the other side as the butterfly comes out. There's not going to be a hard counter, but regardless of it, there have been so many G maneuvers coming out on the side of Mafty that it's going to be nearly a full team wipe for last second.
Yeah, Gasman was forced off the point, unfortunately, and he wasn't able to stagger to get a little bit more percentage for them. Mafty will have the opportunity to get all 86.5%, but you can see last second are going to give that up for them. They're going to go for that early rotation onto point B and have that control, but it's not easy at all. The rotations have already come out from Mafty. We got the Screaming Nimbus as well into the back line. Enders ends up going down, but it's still a 1-for-1 exchange. There is the repair to get Evictus back in, as now we're waiting for point B to unlock.
Oh, Mr. Big Large holding an interesting angle, but here we go. The Screaming Nimbus is huge from Blue Jay. That's going to hit a lot of members, but they can't get the follow-up. That's really hard to actually get the shots outside. Regardless, that should at least push a lot of Mafty outside of the point. This is probably going to be an initial take from last second, but Mafty is very healthy. They have the Hades. They have the funnels available. The G maneuvers are kind of on their side. I mean, it's kind of even. Oh, and a great bait from Gasman on the grab.
Yeah, we still have the punch and the Hades, though, on the other side for last second. Both of them have been popped. All the G maneuvers going down, and Profi has been shut down. Funnels no longer active in this battle. Arrow, though, does end up getting a kill. Finds a second as he pushes forward, but Hades versus Hades. It's Tizim coming up in this Souls-like at this point now as they charge forward. The point almost got taken, but last second will maintain this. Will they be able to finish things off and take this first round?
This is huge. This is guaranteed the last point. Oh, the retake is happening. They are within like 5% of each other. There are a lot of both players available here. Gasman is going to get a pick on Arrow, and then using the G maneuver is going to take down Devotion. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. Focus going down as well. There's trades on the other side, but this is most of Mafty going down. This is going to guaranteed be a capture here for last second. They've got the positioning. This has to be a really quick advance on the side of Mafty to get this extra time. And is anybody on point? Somebody is. I don't know who's even available. If anybody can stay down there live long enough. Carl Sagan goes down, Arrow goes down, only Focus and Casino still up.
Yeah, Enders is going to try his best, but if anything, he needs to have a Screaming Nimbus. He's 60% away, and it's going to be last second, striking first blood here on Mountain R&D.
This is the first time in history that Mafty has been down in a set. They are down 2 games and 1 round. This is the first time ever that has happened. Last second, holding on to that so barely. That was as close as it gets. Also, I just called Enders Casino because I didn't realize that Enders had switched over to the Dom. What a switch that is. But this is 1 round away from the reverse sweep actually happening, and so much of it is on Tizim. Look at that damage from a Pale Rider.
Yeah, and it's going back to the Pale Rider meta. We saw not as much of it initially, right? We had basically all of our Pale Rider players going on over to play the newest unit, the Hyperion Gundam, instead, but we're seeing why the dominance, especially when we had the split that we had, right? ACAC. Or well, yeah, CAC B to finish things all off.
Yeah, B being the last point there, I felt was really beneficial for last second, especially the fact that Gasman can just run wild on B in particular, and that's what we saw. We saw Carl Sagan get picked, I think, a couple times even in that one particular site, just from Gasman being able to jump up to the second story levels. But here we go. We're starting on a much more wide open spot than we expect to see.
Yeah, it's going to be a Sazabi for Sazabi exchange, though, as Tizim finishes off Profi. That does mean that LS will have that high ground advantage. Arrow is trying to contest from the other side with his own Pale Rider right now, but he is getting challenged by Gasman in the back with that Barbados. And this is the chaos that LS need. He's been, sometimes he'll feed, but other times he feasts at this point. As point unlocks, it's going to be LS taking it once more.
Oh, what a great start for the final round that they need. You know, you said feast or famine. That play right there was a little bit of a famine one. Just not quite in the range to get that kill on the Sazabi. And that means there's going to be a nice counter push available from Mafty. They're all on the other side. You love to see it. This is a great angle to push from. We don't see it all the time, but it has been really effective. Tizim getting very low. Evictus going down. Exponent going down. This should be a retake for Mafty. There's about 25 seconds left. If they can hold it for the entire time, we're going to be just about tied up again.
Yeah, this is a completely dry fight from either side. There were no G maneuvers available, and unfortunately for last second, they just didn't have any bodies on the point. I feel like they could have delayed that one out a little bit further. They do end up getting 26%, but will be changing on over. They'll still have the advantage, though. going into point B. But like you said, this is where the Barbados gets to run amok. This is a Barbados' playground.
Yeah, this is, it's just a nightmare to try to peek, and you suddenly just see this giant mobile suit with a giant mace just jumping at you, and you're like, oh no, I am dead. Oh, the punch, that's actually hitting so many players, but there was no true follow-up. Mr. Big Large hit maybe 3 or 4 players. Ooh. Oh, but the Hades coming in from Tizim and didn't get shut down. That's really unfortunate, but this is just trade for trade so far.
And again, in the chaos, that's where LS gets to succeed as they try to go for that res, and he does end up getting it off in the last moment, but there's the re-knock as the Evada system comes out. Point has unlocked, and that's going to be last second taking it once more.
Great timing on using that at the very last second, not giving the opportunity for the respawns. And when this match is this close, you know that every little percent counts. That's how close it is. It was 92 to 91 in the previous round. Oh, that shield is going to shut down so much. Arrow has to back up, has the Hades available, but needs to get the life back first.
Yeah, Devotion goes down, so he's no longer providing the shields for his team. They're waiting on the respawn now. Focus does take out Blue Jay, but he gives his life for that effort. That just means it's now dominance for LS. 20% remaining on this point, and it looks like Mafty are just going to give it up and now start maintaining control over this high ground.
I like this. I like this choice. They are kind of playing at the pace, I think, of that last second wants. Oh, but Gasman jumping up, just saying, oh, no, forget it. I'm leaving. See ya. But I love the fact that they're like, okay, just let him have it. Let's just move over. Let's slow down this pace. We need to get together. We need to win our group fights that we're just so good at. And that's what's going to potentially happen here. X-Men is pushing up on the other side, but this is a full 6-man on the high ground here on A.
You see a little clipping of Gasman there with the mace. He's just a little bit short on that jump. But you can see how quickly Mafty are ready to respond, trying to back all the way off that hill, give it up to not lose anyone, but they end up losing out on Profi on that retreat. Arrow has to be careful as he backs away. He gets up taken down now, and it's all last second. This is what we're talking about. Even though the scoreline was 2-2, the momentum, it's all last second.
And okay, we need to look at the resources for this next fight, because this next fight is everything. We've got 3 G maneuvers. We've got the Lancer, the Screaming Nimbus, and the Punch on the side of last second. But on the other side, we have almost every G maneuver, everything but Punch available. And that is going to have to be what takes it to basically a final push. Carl Sagan using the Butterfly is going to get at least 1 pick and shut down the ability to use that Lancer. Going to get another pick, and not even going down, staying at 66 HP is huge. This is exactly what they needed, but that was a G maneuver used, and last second didn't use any of theirs. They held on to them. That might be a genius play.
Last second did hold on to all of their G maneuvers, but so did Mafty, only utilizing that Unicorn for that push. So they'll have the Screaming Nimbus, they'll have the Hades, unless Ender's ends up going down. He has to be careful, and the funnels along with that Unicorn G maneuver as well. We're swapping on over to C, and you can see Mafty already trying to set up for it, but they end up losing out Devotion. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. Hades has been popped by arrows as Mafty tries to jump to the back line. Gasman is successful, but he gets his life for the effort. Carl Sagan able to take him down. Now, this is still a very dangerous proposition here as last second are setting up on the points. They are going to go ahead and give up that high ground on the right-hand side. We do have a few members coming forward. Devotion has popped his Unicorn G maneuver. Hasn't gotten anything quite yet, but Exponent has fallen. And now here it is, the Punch, the Screaming Nimbus, everything coming in for last second.
Oh, we got 3 kills in a row with different G maneuvers. That's going to be a full team wipe. Can anybody get on point? Is the reverse sweep going to happen? Devotion going down. Nobody's left, and the reverse sweep is completed as last second takes the tournament, takes the set, takes the round.
What an absolute, I don't even want to call it an upset, because last second were so damn good, and there were so many different players from the squad that ended up popping off in this series. And remember, it had to start off with that reverse sweep, that first win in map number 3 for them.
Just actually unbelievable, and for it to start off with actually the double literal last second comebacks into this just unbelievable amount of momentum is you couldn't write a better story, right? There have been some jokes in the chat that this is all scripted. I think they might be right. I think that maybe I'm just not in on the overall arc. I don't even story, the lore. I don't even know the lore, but that is just, I cannot believe it. Our first game 5, our first reverse sweep, the first time that Mafty goes down. Of course, they're still just an incredibly good team. I don't want to make it seem like I'm rooting against them. I'm just so happy that we're at a point now where we've got all of these amazing players on different teams and anybody can win. It's just exactly what I want to see. Aside from the fact that the game is in such a good place that we've seen every single mobile suit in this tournament. I'm just like too happy.
You're going to count the Maru for 10 seconds.
Yes, the 10-second Maru counts. Okay, it hit damage.
I'll be honest. I kind of counted everyone out at the beginning of the tournament. I thought this is Mafty's three-peat. And at the beginning of the day, they made it look like it was going to be so. It was a 2-0 sweep in the winners bracket finals, sending last second down to the lower bracket to face off against Tekka Dynasty. They still had to deal with Tekka Dynasty, and last second, it was not an easy job for them. But coming into this grand finals, the first 2 maps getting taken by Mafty, it looked so scary. It looked like they were on the verge of getting that 3-peat, but last second had the final words.
Another first that we have for the series here is this is the first time I think that somebody has won this. I could be wrong on this one, that has won the run back for who in the match that they lost earlier in the bracket. There we go. That's the best way to put it. They won their winners bracket rematch, and that's, I think, the first time, and it happened to happen in a grand finals. That is a gigantic thing to happen. I mean, just amazingly played from both teams. That is easily the closest set we've ever had. There's no question about it. I don't even know if we can get almost even closer than that, except for maybe a game or round 3 to end it at the end. So, just amazing stuff. Huge congratulations. And that is going to be our champion. We can move on, at least for a moment.